the richer gets richer, the poorer get poorer. They're trying to eliminate that middle class, as we all know.
Whole internet shutdown thing. So that's bound to happen at some point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You're just brainwashed into thinking there's an actual, thing. Yeah. And I was thinking if there was something bad.
We had a couple of protests take place, but yeah, it's a judicial system. It's justice. There's no justice served.
Welcome back to the Freedom Network podcast. Today we're stepping into something heavy, something most people feel but don't fully understand, because everywhere you look right now, something is shifting. The world doesn't feel stable anymore. It feels controlled, pressured, like something bigger is moving behind the scenes. Let's talk about it. I'm here again with my brother Josh. So how are you going today, Josh? And what's your thoughts, emotions, telling you about the future and the current state of the world at the moment?
Yeah, doing good, Mitch. Yeah, look, I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. I know there's so much happening, as we always say, but yeah, look, I haven't really been, caught up in too much on social media or mainstream media or any of that. I've just, really just been in my own world, focusing on my situation and just trying to really get set up, I guess, for potentially what's to come. So, but yeah, no, it's been good. The world can seem like a dark place when you're caught up on media and what's going on the other side of the world and different things. And well, even here, you can be caught up in the doom and gloom of all the fuel prices and stuff. But yeah, I'm not letting it get me down, Mitch. I'm just, staying positive and um, just knowing something bigger is on the cards and just been prepping for that. And but I'm feeling good. I feel like, there's been a shift and like a positive shift and just yeah, I think you know things are gonna get better. Like so I'm pretty optimistic at this point.
Yeah, same, Josh. I think a lot of people aren't optimistic, and it can really be bad for their health at the moment with all the negative emotions that they're getting bombarded with. But yeah, a lot of these people though just don't have strong faiths and inner knowing with a connection from their heart to mind connection, really helping with their discernment and just being in touch with that gut feeling, um, to tell you that everything is going to be all right. And yeah, we just got to shake all these um, distractions and negative emotions off at the moment. And I know someone would say back to that, oh, it's going to affect us, you know, more one day, and that could possibly happen. But we can't just go into in a turmoil with all these emotions, thoughts, and fears going on at the moment, because we just got to rise above that. And um, yeah, because them negative emotions is the worst for your health.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I've just really been focused on my health. Doing a lot of fitness. I've been really enjoying running at the moment. I was someone that never really enjoyed running that much. Like, I love fitness and being active, but I've always been someone that had to be playing a game or doing some sort of activity. I just was never one that really enjoyed just getting out and going for a long run. But yeah, I really am at the moment. So yeah, like you're not running away from the situation, but like it's just good to take your mind off it. And yeah, like I was saying before, like my reality here is great. Like I'm living my best life, like there's heaps going on, but like not in my world. So I'm just living my best life.
That's the way to be, Josh, and um, just got to be so thankful that we're not in a state that some of these people are in these war zones, um,
Yeah.
because totally different world and obviously something we haven't experienced. And um, yeah, you just can't really fathom how hard it would be.
How bad do you think it's going to get out here? Like, we've seen the fuel prices go through the roof, and that they'll probably just keep getting worse, and the inflation is probably going to keep getting worse and worse. And um, yeah, I think I don't know if you heard about this, but there was some I think legislation passed through about like these laws where you can be detained any without having done anything. Like they can just pretty much detain you just like on nothing. Like, did you hear about that?
Yeah, I did hear about that. I haven't looked into it
Yeah.
more. I just seen a guy talking about it in a video. But yeah, I'll talk about the fuel situation first that you were talking about. I think they'll turn the meter up to a point where it squeezes us and chokes us and um, drives us to our limits, but they won't push us over the edge. I feel like they'll bring it down soon. And it's just more of a push to get, especially diesel vehicles, into the electric sector because they want to push this stuff. It's gone off timeline. I think they feel, and I think that this is the big push for diesel to really get into line, and all these, big major companies and or just all the trucks on the road that run countries, especially Australia, with so much distance between cities, and they really got to um, yeah, get the ball rolling with that more. And I think that's why there's a massive push, especially with diesel, as you're seeing at the moment. Um, yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Like, but I could be wrong. It could really skyrocket, and inflation could really, you know, go beyond what any of us think. But I just looking back at the previous wars and situations, and um, yeah, I don't think it'll get pushed into a world war like everyone thinks.
Nah. No, I said that from the start. Um, but it's because like when you look into deeper things, like there's definitely wars going on, like on a deeper level. And the more I look into it, there's no doubt there's this light occult or um, whatever you want to call them, the white hats or so like there's these wars going on at a high level, and
Mm.
it's hard to really like figure out who's in control.
Yeah,
Um,
and things could always
we
change.
spoke a little bit
Yeah.
about this on another podcast, but yeah, it's still it is like that. Like it hasn't changed for me. It fluctuates. But um, well, from my understanding, I think a lot of the higher power structures have been taken out. So there is wars between lower factions happening. And you got to remember too that there are a lot of internal fighting amongst the cabal and stuff because there's different factions within the cabal and um, so yeah, like it's so much happening, like, and so many timelines that we're meant to play out, but I think we're shift timelines and um, it's a real scramble at the moment. It's so hard to decipher what's actually happening on that deeper level, um, and in what players are aligned with what um, cult, whether they're with this lighter cult and or a darker cult, and make no mistake, this lighter cult is not um, this benevolent, it's not the savior or anything like that. Like it's not something you want to align yourself with. Um, but yeah, there's no doubt this is happening, and but like as the future goes, like uh, we spoke about on the last podcast. Mitch went really in depth with the AI and stuff, and I think on any level, like whether this plays out, like this dark New World Order plays out, or this other occult gets their way and that plays out. I think AI is going to be in control either way. It's whether it's going to be this malevolent AI or a benevolent AI. Um, but yeah, like I can just see the future being controlled either way by artificial intelligence. It's whether or not it's good or bad. What do you make of that? Bit to unpack. Sorry to just drop that all on you there.
Yeah. Um, yeah, like you said at the start, there's so many different factions and um, there's infighting amongst all these factions, and you just call them gangs, really, like the mafia, like just, and that's what people got to realize that they're dealing with when they say like a shadow government or cabal or anything. That there are so many different elements that are going on. It's not just two sides like some people think it is. Um, and then there's always things that can change within these factions. Um, but yeah, yeah, I think you're right about with artificial intelligence. They're just, and like I said in the last podcast, it can be used for great things, and we could have a world where it is, um, a great world to live in for everyone. It can all be used to help humanity in so many different ways. Um, but the hard thing with AI, especially now, that they're just starting to lose control, and that's the scariest part about it all. And it's integrated into everything. Um, and if it does become good or evil, is determined by really um itself. Like, and that's crazy. Like, I could be wrong, and there could be other ways of managing it. Um, but yeah, it's very uncertain times that we're living in.
Yeah, and like it's hard, as I was saying, to decipher what is happening because like we know like it's all like everything's crashing and for that old like the for the dark new world order to come in, um they they had to crash the old. Like that was a part of their plan, crash the old, bring in the new.
Yeah. Uh,
So you can see that happening, and you think, oh, that's what's going on. But at the same time, it's like, oh, is it this other occult, this light occult that's in control, and they're playing out a disclosure operation?
Yeah, exactly.
So either way, it's like, oh, well, what's happening at the moment is plausible for both options. So it's hard to know, um, what is like what power is in control.
Yeah.
But like, who do you think released the Epstein files? Like, because if it was up to the dark ones, I don't think they would have wanted these files released at all.
Mm. Yeah, I've thought about this too. Um, there's many different ways of why they would have wanted it out to create division and all that, but you're right, like ultimately they wouldn't want this out. Um, and yeah, I lean towards that there is yeah, it wasn't meant to get out. Um, like other things in the past. But I just feel like, yeah, they're at that point where they just don't care as much, and they're letting so much out of the bag, um, and like we've talked about in previous podcasts, that's the root of Satanism, and um, to disclose what you want to achieve um, through these.
Especially at this time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, they
Um,
had to show their true hand, like, because of the age we're coming into, the age of truth. Um,
yeah,
they had no other option because and that's what I talk about, this false light too. Like, you know, that's their final card. They'll usher you towards that false light, these deities and that. Like, they'll probably fake the second coming of Christ. We've seen this, like, this is definitely on the cards. So yeah, deceivers. They
yeah,
know, like, their darkness. uh, th- They're exposing the darkness. They don't care about that, but they can also portray themselves as these figures of light. So yeah, I reckon there's definitely going to come a time where they'll fake the second coming.
yeah. And I think it'll be something more than, like a Project Blue Beam. Um, it'll be just so much more. Like there'll be um government aircrafts that aren't just projections, and there'll be so much planned going into this that it wouldn't be just projections everywhere of like Project Bluebeam describes. I just feel like it'll be a massive operation, and yeah, I think that could be definitely a card that they want to play, if they have to play it, and if they know that there is um a better reset coming with a better faction, um, and it'll be their sort of last cards to play. Yeah.
Have you heard about where, like, the dark ones have simulated like the future? They like they've put into this simulation or whatever it is, like, every potential future outcome,
Mm.
like changing different things and different timelines and all that, and like doesn't matter what they do, love still wins. Like, like the so no matter what they can do, no matter what they will do, um, they're not going to win.
Yeah, exactly. Um, because ultimately you just got to look at it from a higher perspective, and like I believe that we're only, well, I don't fully believe it, but like it's just a theory that I feel that, people say that we choose to be here, but I feel like we have to be here to charge up our souls because we've fallen from heaven, which is the light and love. With our energy is depleted, and that's why we've had to come in to these batteries in this positive and negatively charged environment with positive and negative emotions, um, to charge up our soul and for us to, once we're charged up enough, to leave this dimension and move on.
Mm.
It's just a theory, and um, I
Well,
just
I think that
and
either way, there's so much truth to that because like we are like if we are like a fractal of the universe, we are everything. Like so
hmm,
we are the dark as well as the light too.
yeah, exactly, and that's
Like
why.
positive needs negative. You say like you can't have one without the other. And what you're saying makes total sense. Like you would have to come down here for that charge, like, and especially when the dark ones are in charge
Mm,
of
yeah,
this realm at
exactly.
the moment,
Yeah.
So that the darkness that we've been in for however long, you know,
That's why
and
they
we've
want to
probably had
keep.
plenty of incarnations. Sorry, we've probably had
Yeah.
plenty of incarnations during this dark period too.
Mm, yeah, exactly. That's right, Josh. And like yeah, we've yeah, like you talking about, we're entwined with our with the darkness, like the yin and yang symbol sums that up perfectly. Um, and if we let our shadow self and the darkness, as you can call it, negative emotions, rule us and plague us for all these reincarnations, we will be here for a lot longer. And that's what, could be our shadow selves and the darkness feeding off our energy, obviously, and keeping us lowered for longer. And it does make sense, but like it's only a theory. Um, but yeah, it's just interesting to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, but either way, I think, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of truth to that because I think it's more than a theory. That's just how you want to look at it. But um, ultimately, what you're saying, there's so much truth to it. Like, that's what it's all about, you know.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah, I think, well, we're
it's
going pretty deep here, Mitch. That's good though. I like it. I love having these sort of conversations, and I think you know, I get a lot out of having these conversations and listening to other people have them. So I hope listeners out there are getting a lot out of this. Whether you're resonating with it or we might be saying something that's intriguing you, and hopefully you got an open mind, or like you're open-minded enough to to sit with what we're saying and not just react and just because it's not what you're aligned with at the moment or because that's another thing like you're constantly evolving so like something you may have like um that you might have sat with previously now you don't sit with that because you've evolved past it so like don't ever think you know it all because there's so much to learn, and a big part of this incarnation, I believe, as to all incarnations, it's about learning,
mm,
and there's so much to learn here as there is to unlearn because of all the doctrines and lies that we've been given and had to live under. It's there's so much unlearning to do, isn't there? It's insane.
Yeah. We've got to dissolve the ego and um, admit that we've all got caught up in certain things and admit that we're wrong at times. But yeah, like I said, it's um, all a part of the experience and journey
Mm,
of evolving and um, just always got to be working on ourselves, like Josh said at the start of the podcast, doing as much as we can with our self, whether it's mind, body, and soul, and working out, meditating, doing everything we can to keep ourselves healthy. And that's what I was saying with the heart. Um, when it's entwined with the brain, it'll be help you better to make your discernment better and your decision making and your inner feelings and gut feelings to work better with your higher self. When your connection with your higher self's at optimal performance. And
mm,
that's why they want to diminish our heart energy and our aura so much at the moment. Because, you know, the heart is the center of the human electromagnetic field. You know, emotions are experienced through the heart. And then while thoughts resonate in the brain, thoughts generate electricity vibrations, while emotions produce the magnetic pulses. When combined, they form as a electromagnetic vibrational frequency. Um, and that's what, like, even in, you know, you ever watch the Dragon Ball Z when they're powering up and they're making their energy bigger or um, certain, you know, things like that. And we just got to make our protection field as much as possible with our aura and coming from the love in our hearts and, you know, keeping in positive emotions and not negative emotions, diminishing the strength and size of your energy field, leading to obviously a weakened body. In contrast, you know, positive emotions expand and strengthen your field. You know, it's just enhancing both your energy and well-being. Like, and that's what when people say stress is the biggest killer, and like just your mindset is so important. So many people can get wrapped up with the body and keeping fit and everything, but if you don't get your mind right first and your heart and that connection, um, yeah, it's the most important thing.
100%. Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. Um, and I didn't. I don't think I realized that. Um, well, I probably did realize that, but I didn't put it first. Say 5, 6 years ago, it was all about health, and I think it was probably because of the time we were living in during COVID and stuff. And um, but yeah, I was so focused on just my health and well-being, which is great. Getting sunlight, exercise, eating well, drinking well, all that sort of stuff. Um, Trying to live stress-free. But like I didn't do the mental work that I've now done, which then I came previously later to um, after COVID and that. So yeah, which I should have done the mental work first. It is the number one thing, and until you do that, you just I feel you're not going to move forward. You're just going to be stagnant. And like we're talking about before with evolution, that's what everything, moving forward, that's what life's all about. Facing your fears, your demons. And a lot of the time, that's what this is all about, like having the courage to properly heal these wounds. Because we've all got wounds. Like, um, just think of the traumas that we've been put through just in this life, and like some of the traumas we're not even aware of, like or just everything that we suppress because we can't deal with it at this time. Like yeah, like when we're born, we most of us are born into the hospitals with the artificial lights, and we cut straight away from the umbilical cord, and
Mm.
um, have all these traumatic things done to us, and we can't even process that at that time. But you've got to store that somewhere. So, like, so your body stores that, and it's still there until you've done something about it and release that trauma, that built up energy that's stored inside you.
Mm.
So that's just one example, and just think of all the traumatic events you go through in your lifetime, um, all the trauma you've experienced and haven't healed from previous lifetimes as well.
Mm.
And then also to throw in there the genetic line as well, your genetic makeup, all the traumas that have been experienced from your parents and grandparents and ancestors all the way down the line. Like that's in your genetic makeup. So there's so much healing to do, and um, yeah, like you've got. It doesn't matter who you are. Like if you haven't done the work, you can't just think, oh, I haven't experienced much. You know, I haven't got anything, any traumas or anything holding me back. I'm pretty good with my mental health and all that. Well, let me tell you, if you actually haven't got in and done the work, um, you would definitely have more, unhealed traumas there. So, um, but
Mm.
yeah, great point that you brought up there. I couldn't agree with you more, Mitch.
Yeah, and like yeah, it's hard when people haven't had um hard situations in their lives to deal and grow with, to make them a better person. And but yeah, it's about being prepared for these because it will happen. We're all going to go through um bad experiences and trials and tribulations in our life. Um, whether it's like you said at birth or past lives or any of them situations. Um, but yeah, it's just being prepared, and um, I really encourage everyone to um, try different avenues and um, things to help them have a different perspective and realize that they do have some things to work on still, whether they know it or don't know it. And it could be, yeah, like you said, just deep seated, um,
Mm.
yeah, issues.
Well, these things like manifest, you know, in your daily traits and stuff, and typically with anger, you've got anger issues. Um,
Yeah.
Usually you've got these because of unhealed traumas, of not doing the work and having that trauma still stored in your body.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And that's why people lean on things too much sometimes and um, use it to escape um, from them issues. But yeah, there's definitely um, can be traced back to certain things.
Mhm. And like, I think talking, going to talk to someone um, that that is a stranger, um, about, someone that you can just open up to, whether you go and see a counselor or um, as I did and Mitch did as well, actually, because you were the one that set me down this path. But we went and seen a lady who does past life regressions and like quantum healing, I think it is.
Yeah.
So we went and actually um, healed some of our traumas from our past lives. Um, Incredible experience, and but like even just opening up to this lady and talking about uh, things that I had kept within inside of me that I haven't really expressed in this lifetime, like traumas from this lifetime that I'd suppressed and were coming up, and um, it just felt like having just got that off my chest and spoken about this with this random lady. Um, it really helped. Like it was an incredible experience. Um, but like just literally speaking to someone can make a huge difference because I know a lot of people um, don't speak about their issues and they've got that much of it stored that like once they start speaking, there's stuff starts coming up that they probably didn't even realize that they had stored away.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's unbelievable experience if you haven't ever done anything like that. Um, but yeah, there's so many other avenues. Um, you can go to psychics, um, palm readers, a lot of things that I've experienced. But you do have to be cautious because there are some people out there that are um, scammers or just doing it in the with the wrong intentions. That's why you do have to, yeah, be very cautious. Um, you know, feel your gut and feel how the person is. Or if you, like I've done before, I've gotten two palm readings, with at the same time within in the same week from two different palm readers, and yeah, it was unreal the amount of similarities that they gave me, like in just predictions and things that I need to work on. They were just both aligned. And that's when you know it's really coming through strong and um, these people were legit. And yeah, they've helped me change my life, to be honest, these experiences with these people, because a lot of them really have a lot of knowledge and a lot of insights and a lot of high energy that they can help you bring out and help um, teach you in different ways. And it's just good to have another person to talk to, like Josh was saying. Um, but yeah, just encourage everyone to get out of their comfort zones and don't think that all these people are just demonic or evil if they're just playing with a tarot card set or things like that. Because ultimately you're just missing out on the experiences and insights and knowledge that you can gain from these people.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so moving on now, because yeah, we keep speaking about these topics, we'll be here all day. Um, but there's so much to unpack, and we haven't done a podcast for a while, so it it is difficult when you've got so much to speak about. But yeah, apologies too for not having a podcast out. in the last few weeks. Me and Mitch have just had a bit on, and haven't had the chance to getting around to recording one. But yeah, this is going to happen. So we're obviously, got our lives and working full time, and so we're trying to just balance things and but we'll get them out when we can, and um, hopefully, yeah, more regular, on the regular than not. So, but yeah, lots to speak about. Another thing though that we did want to touch on today was, um, a lot of people when how should I say, like pointing the finger, when they're pointing the finger at who they are, and with different people always calling out different factions like the Freemasons or the Jews or the Zionist Jews, usually I should say, or the Jesuits and this and that, and or the Illuminati or whoever it is. God, you could go all day.
Yeah.
Well, it's the Rothschilds and all the 13 families, and
Yeah.
but anyway, like ultimately we know there is a force behind all this that controls these factions and plays out here in reality um, like a hidden hand. And for us, this was a rabbit hole we went down very early. I think we sort of skipped many rabbit holes, didn't we, Mitch, and went straight to the end pretty much, which is probably not recommended. But that's the way we went. We wanted to know, who were the true people behind the puppets, so to speak. Who were the puppet masters? Um, and it's these reptilians, isn't it, Mitch? Let's be honest. Um, and I see that it is becoming, way more spoken about, definitely in the truther community. For a while there, it was sort of a taboo sort of subject, and a lot of people didn't really want to go down that rabbit hole because of, just it's a little bit out there. Um, I think two people didn't want to get a lot of their other work discredited by, mentioning all this great stuff, and then at the end saying, "Oh, it's these, interdimensional bloody aliens or whatever you want to call it that run the show." Um, perfect example, David Icke. Like, look at him, So, and
Mm.
I've heard so many people say that, like, oh, he says a lot of great stuff, but then, um, you know, as Joe Rogan says, he's got some squirrely ones, and but yeah, so. But yeah, let's talk about the reptilians because like they are pulling the strings, and we've known about this for quite some time, and for us it was we, we never really needed much convincing. I don't know, like you can probably touch on it a bit more from your perspective, Mitch, but me personally, yeah, I when I heard this, it just resonated with me straight away. I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's exactly what's going on. It was, I don't know, it was almost like, uh, f- it might sound weird, but I felt like I've fought these beings before in a past life. Um, and I'm like, yeah, here we are again. Here they are. I don't know. I just, um, that's how I felt. So it wasn't really far reach for me. It resonated heavily with me. So, um, but yeah, I think there's so much evidence out there now to suggest that these beings, and we can go into where they come from, and there's a lot of different theories around that, and I don't think that's really that important, but you know, they are here and they do control this realm, don't they? Or well, they did. I don't know if they do anymore. Anyway, I'm really ranting here, Mitch. I'll let you get your 2 cents on it. But yeah. Well, let's talk about the reptilians. What do you think?
Well, yeah, it's for someone that's, you know, struggling to get their head wrap their head around all this, and just like a lot of people do with David Icke, they laugh at him when they hear reptilians. I don't know what the difference is between if he said demons and just didn't say reptilians, would it be any different? Because it seems like some people will be more inclined to talk about the devil and demons, but not about reptilians. And it's a little weird with all the stuff that's going on with David Icke, and some people think he's controlled opposition, but I don't think that. Like, while they'd go out their way to ban him from so many different countries, you know, he's one of the first people to heavily get shadow banned, and like still is. But anyway, getting back onto this dark force, I'll call it, because you can give it so many different names um, and faces, but ultimately, like people have just got to realize that it's evil. Like it's darkness. It's the veil over our eyes that uh, um, not letting us see what's fully going on. And there's all different theories, and I don't know for sure. Like, I'm not saying that I believe all these different theories about reptilians, but you got to ask the questions that there is this evil dark force um, that we know that comes out in anyone. Anyone can be the evilest person in this world, murder, um, do anything horrific, and someone will say like, he's evil. Like, just the devil came out in him. Like, and that's the way I see it. That this darkness possesses people and it infiltrates them because they're at such a low frequency and low vibration that it is the darkness, the shadow selves, like we are talking about before, feeding off um, our positive energy and our love and keeping us stuck here for longer. Um, but yeah, it's a tough topic to talk about with people because they struggle to um, talk about things that they can't perceive. But they can perceive that there's evil in the world. Um, but they just there is something pushing them as well and leading them into this um, darkness easier and all the time. Um, and yeah, that's why anyone can turn to darkness and turn to the dark side, as they say in Star Wars. Um, but yeah, I don't. I think like maybe these scary figures are just trying to make out the darkness as being scarier than it is, and we just got to rise above it with light and love that we hold that they don't possess. Um, and yeah, we'll win the battle. And like Josh said, the battle has already been won.
Yeah, well, like I think I said before, like they're they're vampires, you know, essentially.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, what we are, they completely envy, and yeah, so you just got to always remember that you are so much more powerful than they are. So there's never any reason to be scared of them. They want you in a state of fear because then then they can, you know, um, I don't know, do damage to you or whatever.
Yeah,
I just
manipulate.
can't
Yeah,
think of the
yeah,
word. But
yeah,
you know what I mean.
yeah.
So, but like the thing is, there's so much to unravel when you're talking about these beings. Like, are they from this planet? Like I said, does that really matter? But um, to some, I guess if you're just learning about it, you probably would want to understand a little bit about what they are like, So, um, and it's like a lot of it's just speculation too. You got to remember, it's like you can't. Well, no one's got the real exact truth when it comes to their origins and exactly why they're here and this and that. But we know that they are feeding off us. We are essentially, like Max Egan says, like it's a people farm here. It's, um, I'll just say too, like that was one thing I um, made it very easy for me to wrap my head around this was because I got to a stage where I could tell whatever was, in control of the governments and all that, um, was anti-human. I'm like, this force is anti-human. Like, so it mustn't be human. So I think a lot of people are coming to that realization too, like with hearing about different things with the satanic ritual abuse and why would they do this? So they're learning about the level of evil and it's like trying to wrap their head around it. And the only way to wrap your head around it is to understand that it is not human, you know. Why would any human do this to other humans? Yeah, because they're not human. Um, and we can get into like how they've infiltrated certain bloodlines. So I think there's hybrid ones, and like they've obviously in positions of power, like the Rothschild bloodline, Windsor bloodline. They're interbred. They've got reptilian DNA. They are shapeshifters or whatever you want to call them. And I think there's plenty of these other people out there too. That aren't just from the bloodline. I think they've figured out other ways to um, be able to use a certain human as a vehicle and be able to, shapeshift within. I think that's what a lot of the whole selling your soul is. Like you don't actually sell your soul, but you put your soul on, or not on loan, but like it's, you're giving it up to these entities, like so someone that has sold their souls, um, for instance, someone in the music industry or someone like that, some actor that's come into Hollywood and gone through the Illuminati or something, and sold their soul. I think that what happens there is then it gives the ability for one of these entities, a reptilian entity, to then come in that vehicle whenever they want, and that soul's still there, and it's, when it's just out doing its daily thing, that soul's in the body, but when that reptilian wants to come in, it can come in at any time. It's given its permission. That's what selling your soul is. That's how I've interpreted it from the research I've done and stuff. So, um, but I think there's a whole lot of these beings too that reside here on the planet in the 3D that live in underground. It's um, I don't know if everyone, most of everyone that's like our listeners that have been listening for a long time and people that are awake will obviously be aware of the underground cities and different things that are underground, the like the dams and stuff like that. But yeah, if you're not aware of that, I'm probably blowing your mind at the moment. But yeah, so like there's these beings that they reside underground. Um, they also operate outside of our visible light too, so they're all around us as well. You got to remember we only see a very small fraction of light. I think it's like not even 1% of actual what's around us, and that we're only tuned into a very small frequency. And so yeah, there's so much life going on around us, and we're completely unaware of that, you know. So but yeah, what else can I say about these beings? Like it's yeah, there's, there's so much to talk about when you get on this topic. It is intriguing. Like I don't know if they're from off planet or um, whether they're just interdimensional. I'm not too sure, but
Yeah.
um, what I do know is that they're malevolent and they feed off of humans. Like I say, it's a people farm, so they literally feed off of our energy and literally feed off of us. So it's what you're hearing in the Epstein files. They're eating babies. It's you know they you're tying it together now. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway,
Pollution off the pure energy at birth and when they're a kid. Yeah,
mm,
you're right, man. Like like people could be, thinking that this is all crazy and no way and whatnot. And there are different theories, and I've listened to a lot of people like Alex Collier and Len Carsten and um, Tolek, and the list
mm,
goes on with channelers or just people that have this sort of knowledge. And um, look, they could be getting deceived a bit too, but we're not like we don't know this stuff for 100%, but it like Josh said, it just makes sense, and it ties all the pieces together that a lot of people just aren't afraid to look at them pieces. And it's sad because we need to talk about this stuff more to
it
bring
has
bring the
been.
whole picture together. And yeah, like as you said, there may be these entities in this dimension. There might be not. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, it's just the evil that just yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? When you think about the scale that this could be at and the deception that people are under, and with all this, and it's a loosh farm, and it's yeah, it's got to be stopped, and we've got to get out of this emotions and this make this reality better.
mm. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of yeah, like you had touched on, like a lot of different people we used to listen to, like Alex Collier. I think Peggy Kane was another one.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yep.
but like also though there's been a lot of sightings, like countless sightings in the physical of these beings, and different people shape shifting, and like enough to suggest that these beings do exist.
Mm.
Um, I think actually I heard recently that Billy Corgan even had a like the front man of the Smashing Pumpkins. He had a an incident. Did you hear about that one where he was sleeping with this lady and that, and she shapeshift?
Oh, yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah, I forgot about
Yeah, and then her response was like, "I'm not a reptilian."
that.
Uh, I couldn't believe that. But yeah, there's been a lot of different people that have seen the shapeshifters and different other ones. I think I can remember this one from back in the day. Might have been one of the first ones that I heard of a couple of families that were hiking somewhere in the US, and like pretty deep out in the woods and that, and they come across like this ritual and like people in a circle in black robes and all that, and you might remember this one, Mitch, but yeah, I think these a couple of families are observing from up in the hills um, this ritual that was happening down in this valley, and then yeah, from out of nowhere, this reptilian entity just appeared uh, in the middle of this circle, and it actually like it knew that these families, even though they were 100 meters away or so, or hundreds of meters away, it knew they were there straight away, and it actually went up, I think, to where these families were, and like with full scanning them, and like these people said they were paralyzed, like they couldn't even move at the time. Um, and like that, I remember that's just one story that just sticks out in my mind. But like I heard countless number of these sort of stories of different people, like sort of just like the Bigfoot stories and that, like so many of them out there and that. But um, yeah, people just still dismiss like just wouldn't even have a bar of a lot of this talk. But it is starting to get out there a lot more. Like I said, in the the awakened community, it's quite prevalent these days. So which is good to see.
Oh yeah, it's gone so far since 10 years ago even. And
Mm,
like with all the push of even the sightings from the military and all them videos that have come out, um, as well as so many other evidence of UFOs or whatever you want to call them. But yeah, it's even I haven't asked you about what your thoughts on about Trump saying that he's releasing UFO files. And is that just because
mm,
the pressure's been squeezed and there's so many people talking about this stuff that they need to give him something? It's just like the Epstein files. It could have been like that. Um, they just give you a little bit of breadcrumbs and let everyone just um,
yeah.
talk about it and deal with it how they will. But it's just like, oh, they gave us UFO stuff from back in, Roswell sort of times. And um, but it is interesting if
Mm.
that stuff does come out. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it is interesting. Like you said, like I think Obama brought it up too in an interview, um, as well as other people. And that like there's been quite a lot of sort of um, mainstream talk and that around UFOs or something. Do they call them UAPs now or something? They got a different name for them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, yeah, I don't know, mate. Look, we could have like the Project Bluebeam on our cards. It could be Prime Minister that. Um, and yeah, like I just think the dark side's scrambling so much that anything like that's on the cards. Like you know, it could happen. Any time now too, because um, they know that they haven't got long. So they'll throw it all out there. So don't be surprised if something like that happens. Um, but yeah, I'm not too sure. You got the whole shit with that going back to the moon supposedly and all that. It's like, so it's a lot of shit going on when it comes to that topic.
Yeah, and that had to
Um,
happen right now just to distract people a bit more and
yeah.
and it's just unreal all the stuff that's happened that just distracts
Oh
people
no.
so quickly. It's like I can't believe was it 2024 where Trump supposedly almost got assassinated, which,
Mm,
as I don't think we've talked about, is, I think that was a ritual to get him initiated, like
yeah,
into a, you know, high, well, who knows, higher situation, or he needed to have that ritual on where to get this sacrifice on his ear. So it'll, I'm probably not explaining this very well. Um, but yeah, and that's why he's so heard and by everyone in the world at the moment, and that was solidified him getting the presidency in my eyes. And that heroic picture, obviously, that was all set up, and like
yeah,
who would stick their head out after they've almost got their head blown off? Like, what a but yeah, like that was in 2024, and it just seems like yesterday that that happened.
yeah. There's so much that has happened since that. Like it's unbelievable. And
Mm.
I just feel like there's some new story coming out every week, you know, and
Mm.
lots to distract the truth of community.
Yeah.
Um, whether it be Jim Carrey, that whole fiasco, you had the dolphin story as well. With that dolphin, Gerald the dolphin, and that.
Yeah.
Um, so like, yeah, so much.
Yeah.
It's
And
it's it's yeah, it's incredible.
that Trump assassination too happened on the 13th, funny enough.
Oh, yeah, right, of course, yeah. Well, they always, plan these false flag attacks or rituals and all that on these certain dates, as
Mm.
always.
Yeah.
Just like the Charlie Kirk assassination, I'm sure that'd be the same. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh, I think he was actually doing, I think he really got killed. Like, and he got, because he
oh
was
yeah,
putting out too much information that they didn't want out. And yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty sad. And obviously getting hit in the neck. And that's just like, a ritual too. Like, you getting, like how they used, when they'd sacrifice animals and slit them at the throat. And that's why he
Mm.
got done on the neck. And, um, but we could go into all that as well. But,
It's so
probably,
much. Like, what I was going to say, Charlie Kirk, like I haven't looked into it too much and that, but like, was he supposedly like sort of waking up a lot of the Trump supporters and all that, like um
yeah. And,
yeah, to like what's going on with Israel, and so like they a whole heap of them were sort of
mm.
almost
But
getting them offside with him when they really need them supporters at this time with what they're doing in the Middle East with Israel and all that. So it was a big,
exactly. And I don't
yeah,
think,
they needed to take him out.
yeah, and it wasn't planned for him to um, do that, obviously. But that's what happens when he was speaking at university campuses all the times, or just having open
Mm,
conversations with people, and they would feed him this knowledge, and he can't not hear it. And like that's what ultimately turned his views around and um, got him taken out. Like,
yeah.
and it's yeah, like always people speculating, oh, he's still alive and this and that, and but it would be easier for him just to kill these people. Like, they want to get out, get out of the picture, like Epstein even.
Well, you reckon Epstein's? Do you reckon he's dead?
Yeah, I reckon it'd just be easier for them to kill him.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think
Like,
he's alive.
but why would? Yeah, but maybe obviously, yeah. Who knows? Well, I lean towards they just would have offed him. 'Cause these people are freaking brutal. You got to
Yeah,
realize too. Like, and why would they
yeah,
take a
and
chance on that? They're just off him. Like,
he's such a small player.
And
And
that's exactly, people think
you
he's
know,
so high up or something.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Why would they have his name, like hang his name out to dry like they have? It's been plastered around everywhere. Like, even if no one has delved into the Epstein files or anything, the whole world knows Jeffrey himself was a fucking heinous pedophile. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, yeah, it's interesting point.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, what else was I gonna touch on? Yeah, I suppose like we could speak a little bit what's going on with the Middle East and all that, and but well, to be honest, I haven't really been keeping up with a lot of it. You know, there's been other wars that have been breaking out
Mm.
as
Uh,
well, but yeah, I can't comment too much on it because I haven't really been keeping up with it, to be honest.
Yeah, well, you can't keep up on it too much every day like some people do. Obviously, it's not good for you. But yeah, like I said before, it's just to squeeze um the petrodollar and squeeze the sector that they want to move faster for the agendas that they got in place ahead for us. And
Yeah.
the oil is traded globally in US dollars. That's what people tend to forget as well. Like
Mm.
and that's what creates massive consistent demand for the dollar. Like the US dollar, like strengthening it and reinforcing it. Like
How
its
long?
role as the primary global reserve currency. Like, and that's
Mm.
why that if this reset that they want to bring in, like, and that's why they're targeting these sectors on by design, obviously. Like,
How long do you think the fiat currency's got left?
it's hard to say, but it's still going to be, like just going to be changed, obviously. Like and it is always just changing too. Like, but like fiat currency is just deriving its values like from government regulations, like
Mm.
full faith and credit, and like ultimately like the public trust. Like it's ridiculous. It's just like and people don't even talk about this sort of stuff. Like just and it's so fragile and built on trust. It's ridiculous. We could dive into these sort of stuff more, but um, yeah, people always just say, like the average Joe just always going on about like, oh, the government money and oh, we're so much in debt. Like, in debt to who? Like, it's all just a monopoly system, and we just go along with it. And it's ridiculous. Like, and people don't even know about these terms like fiat currency, and well, they just don't understand. Yeah, it's just all a monopoly. Like, and
Mm.
it's a joke. Like,
Yeah, I don't think it's got too much longer to be honest. I think um I think yeah, we haven't got long before it becomes digital, you know.
but yeah, like we're already in digital if you look at it too, partially. Like
Mm.
everyone's got their fake numbers in, like on a in their bank account, like, and it's progressively been getting more digitalized year by year, like until it's fully digital. But yeah, it's
So that being said, would you be, you know, putting your money into hard assets like silver or gold?
yeah, but just not putting your eggs in the one basket, I feel. Um, but yeah, gold and silver's, especially gold, like silver's a bit more of a gamble. Uh, it can fluctuate a lot more. As we've been seeing lately, like gold and silver were at all-time highs like a month or two ago, and now they've dropped back down. But we haven't seen these fluctuations in gold and silver ever in its lifetime. And I'm talking fluctuations like I think silver dropped. It was at $170 and it dropped back down to 100. Like it's just massive. And gold's the same. Like it dropped $1,000 in a month, and it's just both been fluctuating. But I reckon it will really ramp up soon. And yeah, I think you're right. But like the digital currency is just around the corner.
Yeah. So do you think a good idea would be to put a bit of money um in, not just put it all into gold or all into silver, maybe a little bit into both or one or the other, and maybe some like keep some cash too,
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
and then do you think crypto?
Yeah, like I only got a little bit in crypto, but not enough to, and I don't know enough about it to give people advice about that. But it's a very volatile market, but I feel like yeah, Bitcoin's going to be a major player in the future of humanity as well as um you know certain Bitcoins that they got in the works that are um it's hard to explain all this how it transactions get instantly. I've had a mind blank of it all, but I could go in depth more about it in another episode. Yeah.
So we didn't plan to speak about this at all, so we've just gone off topic a little bit here. But I think at this point in time, it is important that we are speaking about this because it is it's reality. And I think with what's to come, it won't be so much like it was with COVID, for instance, where all you had to do with that was not comply. Don't comply with the QRs, don't wear the mask, don't comply with any of the mandates or the jabs or the lockdowns. Like, so it was non-compliance. This time, I feel like it's going to be about survival, because uh, I, whether or which way this goes, I feel it's inevitable that there's going to be this period of real turmoil where, you know, uh, we don't know how hairy it's going to get, but like you want to prepare for the worst. So, but like, even if it doesn't get to that, I think it's still we're going to find ourselves in a situation where it's not going to be normal life. You're going to have to now rely on different ways of income or just different ways to survive, you know. Um, so yeah, what I'm getting at is it's more about survival this time than compliance. What would you say to that, Mitch?
Yeah, to a degree, but it just all determines how certain things play out. Uh, it could all really turn around, and humanity could really stand up and make things a lot better. And I wouldn't say it's you might have to change and pivot in the right directions to work with these new systems, or it won't be like yeah, it's hard to know. Like, I don't know if it'll be a state of like survival. It could be turmoil, but it's yeah, it's hard to know.
Mm. But like we've said, it's better to be prepared for the worst. Um, and yeah, touch up on your survival skills and that. Like that's something, in our lifetime that a lot of people have really neglected in this age of convenience and comfort.
Hmm.
Um, we've neglected a lot of survival skills and stuff. So, well, I don't know if it'll come to that, but like, but just being prepared with having some bit of a stock of food for a few months and stuff like that. I think you touched on it on the last podcast. You gave a good list with things to get prepared with and that. So, um, but yeah, I think the big thing it comes back to, and it's probably a good place to wrap up here. Is getting your mindset right, and that comes back to what you were speaking about earlier on in the podcast, and working on your mental state. And that's what a big part of this period is getting your mind right. And you don't want to be panicked if shit does hit the fan and you're not prepared.
Yeah.
So get your situation right, get your mind right, and you're just going to be at peace and be able to combat anything that comes your way. So
Yeah, exactly.
um,
And try not to be manic about certain situations and or get pulled into how some people talk that are truthers and they're just saying, oh, we've got to do something, we've got to find solutions. And they just say, oh, you can't be just singing Kumbaya in the forest or whatever it may be. And um, but ultimately, like that's we got to focus on the things that we can control and um, do everything that we can to help the situation. But yeah, ultimately, if we work on ourselves and um, more, it'll help humanity.
yeah, 100%. All right, guys, I think we're going to leave it there for today. Thanks for tuning in as always. If you haven't already, please subscribe to JBTV or the Freedom Network, whether you're watching on BitChute or YouTube. Leave us a like, comment, all that. Much appreciated. But yeah, nothing else you wanted to say, Mitch? Finish up.
No, just try and find serenity. Um, you know, just live in the moment and yeah, peace.
Yeah, 100%. And have a laugh. Enjoy yourself. Like, don't be afraid to do what it is that makes you happy. Like I see, like a lot of people won't like watch movies anymore and stuff, like especially Hollywood movies and that because they know what goes on in Hollywood and stuff. And I just laugh at that because, like, you know, growing up, me and you, we grew up loving movies and watching stuff when we were innocent and unaware of, what actually happens in Hollywood. Um, but like, there's still like this. I got great memories from watching them movies. Like I had Indiana Jones, The Temple of Doom on the other night, and it was great. It brought back a lot of memories. It was good to see so much truth that was within that movie, and I had a good laugh, and it was great. So like, you don't have to always be like that and think, oh, I can't associate with that anymore because they're fucking part of the dark occult. And like you still can, like you're aware of it, you know what it is, but you can still use it to your advantage and still you know, watch it for what it is. It's still just a movie. So, but yeah, I
Yeah.
just thought I'd throw that in there because I think that's important. I see a lot of people. I think that they're afraid that to like be associated with any of that anymore. And like I understand, like you don't really want to, but it's okay to dabble in it.
Yeah. Well said.
All right, guys. Well, Peace out, and we'll speak to you soon. Hopefully, it's next week.
See you later.